Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn, and today we have a ton of news coming out of MagicCon Amsterdam. So, spoilers for Bloomburrow dropped, spoilers for Duskmourn, the first spoilers for Duskmourn dropped as well, and there was a new set announced called Foundations. Now, we already went over all of the Bloomburrow spoilers in the last video that I posted. If you haven't watched that yet, I'm going to link that up above and down below. Check out that video because that set's coming out the first week in August, and those cards are looking kind of crazy. Pretty excited about that set. We're also gonna cover the Duskmourn spoilers in the next video that's coming right on the heels of this one, so look forward to that. Tons of crazy cards in that set spoiled already. That one's coming out at the end of September, just in time for spooky season, and it's very themed around horror, but it's more modern horror. It's not like the Innistrad stuff, right? It's not fantasy horror. It's chainsaws and slasher films and that kind of stuff. It looks really, really interesting, and I'm pretty excited for that one. So that video is coming. This video in particular is focused on a brand new set that they announced called Foundations, and we speculated over the last couple of videos about the fact that there seemed to be a product missing in Magic's lineup for the end of 2024. You know, if the last two sets of 2024 are coming, you know, first week of August, last week of September, they're going the entire holiday season without a product, and that seemed weird. And it was right. It was right to think that and speculate that because we've got a secret product here that was just announced. It's called Magic the Gathering Foundations, and the idea behind it is it's supposed to be sort of a combination between a core set and Jumpstart. So, for those of you who don't know, Magic used to have these things called core sets that were mostly reprints and were just made to be an entry-level product that was just easy to digest, not too wordy, and helped newer players get accustomed to the game while still having powerful cards that expert players would still want to get, would still want to play with, and so they would still be interested in the set even though it's kind of aimed at newer players. And this is similar to a core set in that way. It's going to have normal boosters, it's going to have collector's boosters, it's even going to have a pre-release, so it is going to be a normal set. But in addition to that normal set stuff, we're going to see two entry-level products arrive with this set that help newer players with the onboarding process, get them interested in Magic, help them learn it easier, and you know, show them the next steps to get to what they will enjoy about the game. So the first product they're releasing is a $30 product that is 200 cards, and it's kind of like Jumpstart where you have 10, 20 card packs, and these packs are meant to be combined with another pack to form a deck. And they can be mixed and matched in different ways. Jumpstart was a little bit more random as far as what the packs were themed around, whereas this entry-level product is going to have 2 packs specifically for each color, and it's being designed in a way that throughout different combinations with these packs, you'll get your first taste of the different archetypes in Magic and the different ways you can deck build for Magic, specifically trying to introduce the player to what Standard is going to be like, constructed Standard through these packs. So it sort of starts them down the path of being able to have the beginnings of Standard decks in all these different flavors and introduce them to all the different ways in which they could start to brew for Standard, which I think is really interesting. The other product that they're releasing is a $50 product that is like a starter collection of 350 cards, and this is meant for the players who already got the initial starter set or whatever and want to just take the next step, expand their collection without like jumping in head first and getting in over their head with a lot of wordy cards with expert expansions and that sort of thing. They can sort of take this next step, get this collection of 350 cards for $50, and all of the cards will be able to take each of the different variations of decks in that initial product to the next level, add cards to those archetypes, and let the player just kind of build on what they already learned and, you know, take their next steps towards developing those constructed decks. what's interesting about this is the set is designed for standard and for onboarding for standard, which is kind of crazy. We don't have really an entry-level product like this right now for Magic that introduces people to the game in, you know, an easily digestible, efficient way. So it's really cool that they're doing this. They're even going so far as to have step-by-step instructions for brand new players where when you open one of these 20 card packs, it's going to tell you what card's on top, what card's second, what card's third, and sort of walk you through what these cards are and what they do and what the game is. So there's almost like a tutorial game involved in this as well, which is really interesting. So a lot of cool stuff. But what's most important about this set is the fact that it's standard legal. It's standard legal, it's 50% reprints, 50% new cards. The new cards look like they're going to be really powerful, even though they are going to be somewhat simplistic. The idea is to not have a lot of wordy text, to be easy to understand for new players, but that doesn't mean they're not powerful. There's some pretty crazy cards, we'll get to those in just a bit. And it's kind of crazy. The thing that has me the most excited and the most worried is this is a set that will not rotate for at least 5 years. They said it's designed to sort of be evergreen and to have this backbone, this foundation of cards for standard in particular that lasts at least 5 years. And unless they have a reason to try to, you know, change up that set to introduce some kind of new foundational set based on where standard is 5 years from now, they'd like to continue even further. They'd like this to be the foundation for standard even after the 5-year mark, which is kind of nuts, but obviously 5 years is enough timeout that they don't know for sure. So they're leaving the door open. You know, if things change drastically in the standard environment, they feel like they need a new foundational set, they will change things up, so they're not going to strictly adhere to that, but at least 5 years, they said, which is crazy because a lot of the cards that they're bringing into standard with this set look absolutely insane for standard, and I'm going to shut up and stop rambling about the details, and we're going to talk about the cards because I can't even believe it. Let's talk about the first one here. This is a reprint. This is Llanowar Elves. That's right, Llanowar Elves is coming back to standard. That's insane. Am I the only one that thinks this is insane? Granted, there was a time when elves were in standard. I believe the last time they were in standard was the original Dominaria set. But having a 1-mana mana dork that can tap for a green mana in standard is nuts. It absolutely just fundamentally changes the way people are going to build their decks. Your 1-drop is going to be super important now because you can play Llanowar Elves, go right into a 3-drop on turn 2, and it just completely changed the way that things curve out and things play out, and it's super powerful. So the fact that they're bringing Llanowar Elves back to standard in and of itself is a huge announcement. The fact that it's included in this crazy set that's not going to rotate for at least 5 years is even crazier. But what else do we have? Day of Judgment. 2 white and 2 for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures. Yeah, this is basically Wrath of God. They're basically making Wrath of God an evergreen part of standard. And don't get me wrong, this isn't as powerful as some sweepers that we have in standard right now, like Sunfall, which exiles and gives you board presence for just 1 extra mana. But still, having a 4-mana sweeper just there foundationally for at least 5 years is pretty significant. It means you're never going to have an opportunity to be in a standard environment without a 4-turn answer to an entire board. There's no guessing games. There's no surprise factor. It's just going to be there forever now, and that's crazy to me. But moving on, we've also got Omniscience. 7, 8, 9, 10 mana for an enchantment. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana costs. There are so many ways to cheat something like this into play right now. It boggles my mind that this card is going to be in standard. Am I the only one that thinks this is insane? Let me know in the comments. There's just so many ways to cheat this out. And then once it's out, you could just free cast whatever, right? Yeah, this is just going to be a part of standard for at least 5 years. This is just going to be the staple go-to. You always have to be prepared to run up against decks that are going to be able to cheat out their deck using this card. It's just an inevitability. It's going to be a part of the meta. And that's just crazy to me that they're introducing that through a core set. And they've got some really cool alternate arts for some of these cards. With Omniscience here, this art looks beautiful. I really love it. Not that I'm necessarily looking forward to something as powerful as Omniscience being in Standard, but if it is, at least it looks pretty, right? So, moving on, we've also got some brand new cards, and the new cards, like I said before, are powerful, even though they are simple. This is Anthem of Champions, 2 mana in the colors of Selesnya for an enchantment, and it's just an Anthem. Creatures you control get +1/+1. It's a 2 mana Anthem. Strictly better than Glorious Anthem. Well, takes 2 colors, so loosely strictly better than Glorious Anthem, but this card is great. And it goes to show you that Anthem effects might not be able to keep up with the power creep that's currently in Standard right now if they have to put out a 2 mana one, but regardless, the card will be powerful. And it's also worth noting that they're changing up the way that they're doing frames with enchantments. As you can see here, they're using like the enchantment creature frame that they usually use in Theros for all enchantments moving forward, so that it's easier for new players to just, at a glance, see that it is an enchantment. And we've got a couple different arts for this. So we have the borderless one, which even though it's mostly borderless, you can see the little bits of border that are there are still using that same theme for the border. And then we have this alternate art version, which looks really pretty. You've got 4 knights protecting each other back to back. Just seems really fun. Our home may have no walls, but it is far from undefended. Very cool. And then moving on to my favorite card out of these, 9 Lives Familiar. 2 black and 1 for a 1/1 creature cat. It enters with 8 revival counters on it if you cast it. And when this creature dies, if it had a revival counter on it, you return it to the battlefield with 1 fewer revival counter on it at the beginning of the next end step. So this is a good example of, it's a simple card, it's an easy to understand card for beginners, but it is a very powerful card if used right. And I'm kind of losing my mind that this exists. Think about using this with All Will Be One. You play it, it has 8 counters, you do 8 damage to whatever you want. When it dies, it automatically comes back with 7 counters and then triggers All Will Be One again and does 7 damage to whatever you want. I almost feel like there's probably an auto kill combo, 1-turn combo with 9 Lives Familiar and All Will Be One in some way. I am absolutely going to build that deck. It seems super fun, but even outside of that broken combo, it seems like there's a lot of interesting ways you can use this card to fuel sacrifice decks, and it just seems really fun. So I'm really excited about this card. We've got the borderless art treatment here, which also looks good. I'm glad to see a black cat. Neville. Neville's wonderful. This is basically Neville in card form, and I'm happy. Neville, tell everyone you're happy. But the alternate art here looks really cool. Sitting on top of a gravestone that has markings denoting the number 5 and then 3, or maybe just 8 in general. 8 because 8 revival counters. That makes sense. Either way, card looks really cool. Curiosity stopped keeping score. And that's going to do it for this video. But like I said, Bloomburrow spoilers were announced. I have another video with that, so that is linked in the comments. Check that out. And then another video is on the way ASAP as soon as I can get done filming it. And that video is going to cover all of the Duskmourn spoilers coming out of MagicCon Amsterdam. So lots of crazy stuff to go over. But I'm super curious what you guys think of this Foundation set. I'm kind of excited, but at the same time, I'm super worried about a set that's not going to rotate for 5 years, because 3-year rotation already feels rough to me, and I really wish they'd go back to 2, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it. Make sure you like the video if you haven't already. It helps the channel grow. It helps this video get out to so many more people. And it's you guys that like the video every time that are helping my channel to grow so quickly. So thank you guys so much if you're doing that. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. Tons of crazy spoiler content on the way. Tons of cool deck techs, rotation-proof deck techs on the way. And then, of course, new brews once the new sets come out. So really excited for that. Lots of stuff coming. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck techs, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.